I think really it was not a war against terrorism, it was a war for the recolonization of the world.
The US pushes its values around the world under the garb of universal values.
Ha sido básicamente el ejercicio de la hegemonía.
In 2019, former US President Jimmy Carter said that the United States is the most warlike nation in the history of the world, as the country had only been at peace for 16 years in its 242-year history. Since the end of World War II, the country has either intervened or waged wars overseas, causing not only severe civilian casualties, but serious property damage and harrowing humanitarian crises.
La filosofía de la guerra forma parte de la nación norteamericana.
Onda nije se čuditi što je učestvovalo u tolikom broju ratova, jer u pozadini, drugom planu, stoji činjenica da postoji jedan veliki vojno-industrijski kompleks u Sjedinjenim Američkim Državama koji zapošljava ogroman broj ljudi, a da bi se oružje trošilo moraju negdje moraju da se dešavaju ratovi.
كل الحروب اللي الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية دخلت فيها في المنطقة كلها كارثية. الولايات الأمريكية بتساهم بشكل كبير في تأجيج الصراعات والأزمات الداخلية والحروب في منطقة الشرق الأوسط.
Under the pretext of counter-terrorism, the US used force to interfere in the internal affairs of other countries, and even violently overthrew legitimate governments of sovereign countries. The so-called US global war on terror is riddled with double standards.
It is sort of double labeling against terrorism, which had been confirmed the then US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, that US created Mujahideen to contain Russia in Afghanistan, with whom US is fighting on the name of terrorism.
Do sada je bilo u nedoslednosti, podržavala je i ličnosti i političke stranke koje bi se i u zapadnoj štampi, u političkom životu, u medijima mogli ocijeniti kao nedemokratski, takozvanim borcima za slobodu, koji su kasnije prekvalifikovani kao teroristi. Kasnije, kada su postali neposrednja pretnja za bezbednost Sjedinjenih Američkih Država i za njene građane. Naravno, svaki teroristički napad predstavlja pretnju, ali ako imate dvostruke aršine, ako primjenjujete dvostruke kriterijume, logično da se to pre ili kasnije obija o glavu.
The United States, together with its allies, has engaged in color revolutions in many parts of the world. After the end of the Cold War, the US became more audacious in promoting interventionism and exported the Rose Revolution, Orange Revolution, Tulip Revolution, etc., one after another. Over the past decade, the US has invaded or instigated regime change in more than 20 countries, and has repeatedly manipulated color revolutions in Central and Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and some countries in West Asia and North Africa.
Vojnim revolucijama pravilo su instalirane one političke snage koje su trebale da neposredno služe interesima Sjedinjenih Američkih Država, a te snage često nisu bile u situaciju da dobiju podršku građana na izborima koji su organizovani i ekonomske i vojne, i to je postala u jednom delu novije istorije Sjedinjenih Američkih Država bukvalno praksa funkcionisanja Sjedinjenih Američkih Država na međunarodnom planu.
The main danger of color revolutions is putting a country with all its people and resources under external control. Color revolutions very often create the ground for civil wars. A civil war means victims, destruction, loss of lives, and deaths of children.
The United States claims itself to be the defender of international law. However, the country is often seen as putting its national law above international law, and willfully breaking treaties and withdrawing from international organizations.
Great thing for the American worker.
The United States is officially withdrawing from the UN Human Rights Council.
The United States will therefore suspend its obligations under the INF Treaty.
Today I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization.
As the pandemic rages across the world, the US once banned the export of medical supplies, seized other countries' goods in transit, and hoarded vaccines that far exceed its own needs.
قضية كورونا هي قضية مسيسة بالدرجة الأولى ومسؤول عنها الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية تماما، وأعتقد أنها أحد أشكال الصراع السياسي الدولي العالمي.
Pokazuje jednu, da kažem, globalnu komponentu politike Sjedinjenih Država u međunarodnim odnosima, da oni smatruju da su neko ko ima pravo da čini drugima sve što hoće, oni bez odgovornosti.
After the Second World War, United States became the founder of the post-war world order. Ironically, US has been also very often breaking its own rule-based order.
Over the past decades, the US has been attempting to export their values of democracy and human rights through either coercion or infiltration. According to The Guardian, America once tried to overthrow the Castro government with rap music. And in Africa, with US financial aid, often comes preaching about US-style democracy.
I believe that the financial aid provided by the developed countries, like in case of Africa, should not have any strings attached to it. You know, because the developing countries remain stuck in the vicious cycle of fulfilling those conditions that come with that financial aid.
By promoting US values abroad, the US stirred up fresh geopolitical confrontations, in an age when pressing global challenges demand international cooperation.
هیڅ پیدا ونه کړه چې دلته راغلي، مګر همدلته د دیموکراسۍ په نوم باندې او مذهب ته زموږ نقصان ورسوي. زموږ
أثر علينا معنويا وسياسيا واقتصاديا، ووصلنا لهالدرجة. هذا هو أثر الاحتلال.
You don't export democracy, you don't export freedom, you don't export. It has to be empowered by the people. It was not just a military defeat, it was also a defeat of the Western values.
Los Estados Unidos han pretendido vender ese expansionismo desde una misión mesiánica, desde la idea de que están salvaguardando los valores más tremendos de la democracia, la prosperidad colectiva, pero todo esto realmente resulta una mentira.
Every country has its own system, and US tries to impose their conditions on that country. I personally believe that it won't work in the future as well, and it didn't work in the past.
The world is getting more insecure. I think America needs to be more retrospective and admit that their policies have played a great role in creating an unjust society.